time for Criminal Law 101.
With criminal defense attorney Ken Eulo from the law firm of Smith & Eulo. On 101.1 WJRR.
All right, we are Orlando's rock station. Ken, how we doing, man?
Doing good. Long weekend. Thanksgiving.
Bobby,
do we have the different mic over there?
Can you pull his other mic over?
Look, somebody
from
switched that over the holidays. Too.
All right.
We're going to do
Stand by.
Here, Ken.
Stand by. All right.
It's amazing when you come back from vacation how they redo everything while you're gone.
Am I good now?
Take it from how we doing, Ken?
I'm doing good. Had that long weekend with Thanksgiving. It was nice.
Good. So we missed a week because we were out last week, and let's pick right back up where we were here, and we get some questions that have come in from listeners, and I wanted to get your perspective on a couple of things as well this morning. You wanted to throw a question out there first that has come in at 22526. Ken, of course, a criminal defense attorney with Smith & Eulo here in Central Florida. Great law firm to get a hold of if you have something criminal law related. They run the gamut, everything from a criminal traffic case to first-degree murder. They've done that, handled it, and defended it.
To get in touch with Ken directly, it's Ken at Smith and Eulo. That's EULO.com. Listeners have sent some stuff in. We have statements made during a VOP hearing be used against me in the trial for the new law violation.
What is VOP?
So VOP means violation of probation, and he's referring to basically he's on probation and a new crime occurred, and that crime was the basis for both the violation of the probation as well as the new criminal act. It's actually two separate cases. So the answer to that question is yes. If you're testifying under oath at any hearing, that can come back and be used against you at a new criminal offense.
All right.
Okay.
Be careful.
Think. That's the key thing I'm thinking the law is think before you say certain things. If your ex-landlord's company hasn't given back the security deposit after 30 days, can I go after them?
You know, that's really an area that I have never dived into, is the landlord tenant type stuff. You know, I couldn't answer it, to be honest.
Is that more of a civil situation?
Yeah, I mean, landlord tenant stuff is a whole realm by itself, right? I mean, it's people specialize in just these sort of landlord tenant disputes that kind of go back and forth, and I mean, there's all kinds of weird rules and notices and when you're allowed to go after certain things. So, I mean, my suggestion in those cases is always going after those specific lawyers that handle those very niche areas.
Okay, real estate lawyers, the direction you need to go.
Hey, big story the last month here, and it's now a big story nationally. The cruise ship death. God. The young girl from Titusville. She's found at 18 years old on a cruise with her family, Carnival cruise with her family, and she's discovered dead in her cabin. The suspect may be a stepbrother. There's so many questions, not a lot of answers. My question to you was, when you have something like this happen on a cruise ship that's out in the ocean, crime occurs or is alleged to have occurred, what governs that? How does that get? The FBI is involved in this case right now.
Yeah, so, I mean, I will say this kind of as an outset. There's really not a lot of these types of cases. I mean, it's a very unique case because, for the most part, you know, when you start talking about maritime law, it's rare. I mean, you don't see a lot of these cases come before us. I mean, I've done this now 16 years, and I don't think I've handled a single maritime criminal offense. We've had a couple that have kind of come in, and we've done them as like civil type cases.
Right.
But in terms of the actual crime, a couple of ways that these cases can actually make it into U.S. jurisdiction. One is if it's a U.S. ship and it's departing out of a U.S. port, like, for example, the ship's leaving out of Miami, crime occurs, then absolutely the statutes give the FBI authority to kind of get in there and start working on those cases. That's one of the ways. U.S. citizens, you know, another one. If it's a crime that occurs in U.S. waters, right, not international waters, there's another way that these kind of jurisdiction can occur. So
this sounds like it's checking a lot of those boxes. Thus explains the FBI's involvement.
There you go. Yeah.
I was just curious,
and they're being pretty tight-lipped on it. The FBI,
yeah, it's
for obvious reasons.
Yeah, it's a really odd case. It's a sad case, first and foremost. It's terrible, but
I'm surprised there aren't more cases on the ocean. I know you're on vacation, you're supposed to be having fun, but we have seen numerous videos of huge brawls. You know,
and I'm sure that's just scratching the surface of some of the stuff that could potentially also go on. But yeah, that case in particular has really got a lot of attention.
Instead of a Bob World Order, you got Cruise World Order.
Right,
that's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
They have a lockup on those boats.
They do.
You almost ended up in it.
I'm just going to plead the fifth at this one.
Yeah, Mister, I'm planning another cruise.
They called
radio station Bob.
Little behind the scenes. They rang my room. It's day to check out, and they rang my room and said, "Yes, I need Bob and your roommate. You guys need to come down." And we're sitting down there waiting, and they walk us in. They said, "Yeah, so did you guys have a good vacation? Is there anything you need to tell us?" Because we had hundreds of listeners on this cruise, and I'm thinking, we're on here with a bunch of listeners. Some of them might have done some stuff wrong, but I didn't. But I honestly, you've never been so scared. You're looking and thinking, there's that little jail you've heard of. I really do.
And they have the camera. You're thinking about what you did.
I know. Oh, no. Everything's going through my head. And it's 4 o'clock in the morning, so I'm still a little cloudy. I'm going,
Parts you don't remember?
Wait, this one's from a listener, 22526. You may understand it. I don't. Is prayer for judgment real? Prayer for judgment? Does that even make sense?
I mean, so it's not really a term that I specifically use, prayer for judgment, but I mean, I think that it could be one of those things where he's referring to a plea to the bench. I mean, it sounds like maybe you're asking for the judge to make a ruling on what the sentence is, but I mean, it's not really a term that I
like plead for mercy. You mean, or leniency, or
it's not a term that I hear often used in the criminal justice system. I mean, it's one of those 16 years doing this, and I don't think I've ever heard that specific term used in a courtroom before.
Mm-hmm. All right. And I get another question for you, because you're starting to see this now in another big case that is also tragic. This Afghan guy who shot the 2 National Guards people the day before Thanksgiving in Washington. One troop, she's died. The other's in critical condition. This was a guy who was in Afghanistan working when the U.S. was there, and I guess he had some sort of affiliation with some, outfit, whether it might have been CIA or whoever. Long story short, when that whole drawdown happened, he, along with a lot of other Afghans, were brought here to the U.S. Fast forward to last Wednesday. He lives in Washington State. He flies cross country to Washington, D.C., and walks up to 2 National Guard troops and point blank shoots them in the head.
Wow.
You're now starting to see in the media a potential defense develop. He's got mental issues. He never fully assimilated. He disappeared for long periods of time because he, didn't interact with America, and they're just trying to lay this groundwork in the media for. You can just see this. You see this happen all the time, and I'm not just saying as a defense thing, but prosecutors use the media as well to try to make their case.
Yeah.
So, I would say that a lot of times we do have media cases where, there's issues that we want to get out there. I think it really depends on the case, right? I mean, there's cases where it's not a great media case for us to even talk about, right? I mean, it's the facts aren't good. It's not looking good. But there are, times when that, the facts would be seriously helped if they heard certain things. Now, you're not really allowed, right?
That's what I'm getting at here. How does it wink work?
You're not really supposed to be intentionally trying to influence the jury pool, but in the same token, you are allowed to talk about, general facts that are available. So I definitely think it is a strategy in certain cases. I know you guys talked to Matt Futch a while back, and I know that he had to deal with a lot of those types of questions when it was the dog park shooting case.
Right.
And what I thought was interesting in that case is that, there were text messages that specifically were left out of the discovery. And the discovery was voluminous. It was long. It was, thousands of pages long, text messages of all kinds of different communication. But, buried underneath thousands of pages of communication were these very specific messages about the victim, the alleged victim in this case, basically attacking and taking this guy down to the ground, saying that he was going to do that on the next day. And that was the day of the shooting.
And that's the info that Matt dug up, right?
He dug that up, and obviously, the narrative against his client was always he was hateful and he was horrible. And if you look at every single news story out there, everything was geared toward attacking this individual, and it was just incredibly unfair because there was really clear evidence that this victim was not who people thought the victim was, right? This was a person that was equally as aggressive, if not more aggressive, basically saying, I'm going to go after this person, right?
The whole there's two sides to every story issue.
So that was a way for us to combat the narrative because it was unfair, right? It was the whole media pool of the whole jury pool was hearing one narrative and one narrative only, the unfair stuff. They didn't hear that. So I think that in situations where an unfair narrative is kind of coming out, I think it's definitely a good strategy to get that stuff out there.
As a criminal defense attorney, what is your honest feeling when you have a case where you have a jury that's been sequestered, or even is on, you can go home after the day or whatever, and the judge says, now remember, do not talk to anybody or discuss this case or watch anything that is covering news of this case. I don't know. I just roll my eyes when I hear it. Human nature is you're going to go and look and see what people are saying.
100%. So, I would say that in my experience, it definitely happens where the judge will say, come back tomorrow, but they will do everything in their power to, I've been sitting at the Orange County Courthouse until almost midnight on multiple occasions.
To try to get it done?
Judges don't necessarily like doing that. They like resolution.
Yeah.
So, I will say that it happens often where they'll say come back the next day, but there really is an effort to try to avoid that, right? Like there is an effort to try to get this thing done. And, we'll sit here until 11 o'clock plenty of times. I remember, having like a Subway sandwich laying there on the bench outside the courtroom at like 11:30 at night multiple times.
I tell you though, in those longer cases though, where the jury's going, to the hotel every night or whatever, you can't tell me they're not talking at least among themselves.
Sure.
Come on.
It's like when they tell you not to have a beer at lunch. Come on.
Right. All right. Ken Eulo, criminal defense attorney from Smith & Eulo. Give the contact information again, Taco.
Anybody that texted 22526 and we didn't get it, I will have those for Ken next week. His direct email is ken@smithandeulo.com. That's EULO.com.
Ken, we always appreciate your time and insight each week with Criminal Law 101.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
All right. Talk to you soon.
Lynch and Taco.